we heard the word energetic from both of them. I mean, just how much is that being preached right now in practice, just kind of to bring that energy?
I tell them all the time, you got to control the controllables, and their energy they can control. So they got to bring that every day.
Yeah. How do you assess the first practice? How do you think it went?
I asked them what they thought at the end. I know you guys have been here, but I asked them a few things. I did think it went really well. Is there things we got to work on? Absolutely. And the good thing is when I asked them, they said the things that I would have said. So that means we're learning and we're getting better. And then if they acknowledge it themselves, I think that they understand the why, and we're going to get better even quicker.
Yeah. Jenna said Ushi tore ACL, I guess. What's the confirming that, and then just kind of the maybe timeline for that? Is season ending, I'm assuming?
We're assuming, but she'll have this surgery in the next week or two, and then we'll know more once the surgeon obviously gets in there and inspects everything.
The other two freshmen, number one, just how did y'all keep them? That's not common to see freshmen stick with a new coach. And then what have you thought about their transition here?
I think the transition's been phenomenal. They're going to be a huge part of our program and our potential success. Even as freshmen. So obviously keeping them, the first thing we did when I got hired was try to retain those three freshmen, and so that was extremely important and crucial for us in the recruiting process.
And talking about retention, obviously Jenna is one of those returners. I guess how important was it for you to retain her, and how are you, I guess, liking her so far in your system?
Jenna has so much potential. I think that's the one thing is the five that we were able to retain, the three freshmen we brought in, and the girls from the portal. We do have potential, but then you got to turn potential into something. And then obviously understanding our system, our offense, our defense, we have so much to put in. But instilling a confidence in them, instilling the energy, the system, I guess the offensive system per se, those things are crucial. But keeping Jenna, keeping Arkansas talent at home is imperative to our success, not just now but in the future, and that's something we're really focused on as a staff.
And obviously you coached against Arkansas last year. Do you remember anything about scouting Jenna, and what stuck out about her in that process?
Obviously she can shoot. Everyone knows that she can shoot. I think the one thing is instilling the confidence that I believe that she's capable of. Also, with her being able to put it on the ground a little bit, she's got to be able to put the ball on the floor and mix it up at some points and not just be a shooter. And that's something we've been working on and addressing with her as well.
And she had talked about how you saw her while you were at Oral Roberts and she was in high school, and she had mentioned that you were talking about how good of a shooter she is, and you were talking about that's the Jenna I know. Just how important has it been for you to, I guess, instill that confidence that you've been talking about?
Because I always say confidence takes you a long ways. It does in anything in life, and so they have to be confident. If you come out and you're scared or you're fearful or you're anxious, if all those things are negative, and negative breeds negativity, and we want to breed positivity. And so I want to instill a confidence in them. Our pillars of faith, family, and fearless. I want them to be fearless. They have to be able to take the floor and be fearless and be able to put those skills up on the court, because if you come out and you're scared to take the shot, you've already missed it. So instilling that confidence in them, wanting them to take the shot. I've told them I've never benched anyone for shooting it, but I have benched a kid for not taking the shot. So they got to be confident, because like I said, it's going to take us a long ways, and it's going to bleed off into their teammates as well.
And then the rock and the shoe exercise at the beginning, I guess, where did that come from? Is that something?
It's my music lesson for the day. I think they're young women, and I want to instill things in them that's going to help for not just this moment, for the rest of their life. And it's the same thing, the little things that could hold us back on the court, but it's the same thing in the classroom that could hold them back, or in life. And so I want to teach them life lessons that they can take with them, but instilling those little things, because it is just a rock and it's tiny, and maybe it's if you get a rock in your shoe, it's uncomfortable. Maybe you can walk around with it for a while, but do you really want that to linger all day? And just teaching them those life lessons and helping them shed some of that negativity, shed some of that doubt, so that when we get on the court, that they have pushed out some of the other things that might be going on in their life, to where they can be where their feet are and hone in.
Any other music lessons planned? Or
There's always something. I just can't give you all my secrets yet.
That felt like a different Jenna that we talked to, just as far as she said she wants to win this year. Just felt like a mentality has changed. Have you sensed that from all of them that are returning?
Absolutely. Change is here. And, my staff and I are here, and this team is new, and they're excited about the opportunity they have. And, they want to win, and they want to work hard, and they're coachable, and they're putting in the effort, they're putting in the time, and I think that it's going to be able to pay dividends. But it starts with a mindset, hence why we had preseason, hence why you got to change your mentality.
What have you thought of your bigs that you got in between Ashlyn and Maria and Danny, of course, is still here?
Yeah, and Dana will be back. She's coming off of a slight injury, but Maria and Ashlyn have done a really good job embracing their role, and they're starting to get more physical because they're starting to understand. I think when you have understanding of the offense and the defense and our expectations, then it's a little bit easier to perform, and you're starting to see them kind of settle in.
I know Talia didn't practice today, but her and Emily coming with you from Oral Roberts, just how important have they been in kind of instilling that program and culture that you want?
I think that they've been just an astronomical, honestly, to be able to come in and they know what my expectations are. They know the offense. They know what I expect from them. And for them to come in and make that transition, they've really helped their teammates. But just the speed that we want to play and what they've been able to do on the court has really been, I just think, a huge asset to us.
Is Talia all right?
Yeah, she'll be back in the next couple of days.
Okay.
So you're building something at Oral Roberts, right? You have that kind of pedigree. It's a growing program. Why take that leap of faith? You're talking about changes here. I know change is difficult for some other people. Why take that leap of faith and take this job here?
It's a huge opportunity. I've never shied away from a challenge or an opportunity to build something. I've done it, like you said, I've done it at all the stops that I've currently been at, and I believe in my system. I believe in what we're trying to build here, and I think Arkansas is a phenomenal program. I mean, to me, it's one of the top programs in the nation, and in order to resurrect that, you got to have you got to have that mentality that you're not going to be scared and you're not going to back down. And I think our pillars and the way that we're going to do things on and off the floor, it's going to matter and it's going to show. And it's going to take a little time. It's not going to happen overnight. But if the players will continue to buy in, be all in, and stay the course, we're going to have the opportunity to do something great.
And take me back to 2022 a little bit. When you're first starting at Oral Roberts, obviously, as we're talking about that change, right? What are kind of some of your biggest reservations when you're first taking that job, or anything you're like, man, I really got to get this right? What's kind of your mindset when you're taking that new job and starting that new job at Oral Roberts?
I think one of the biggest things that I probably could say I took away from that time in 2022 is to make sure that it was built the right way. Even if not everyone else might see the big picture or the end result, I do, and I can see that building block and just doing it the right way, staying true to who I am and the way that we're going to do things, the pillars that we are going to stand on, and staying true to that and building it the right way, laying that foundation that will withstand the test of time. I think is extremely important, and just like I said, the little things and focusing on that. So, and understanding that, also building back confidence, helping them understand a system. I can't just move, I can't always move 90 miles an hour. I've got to move at a pace in which we get things right, and that's one thing that I think that my staff and I have done a good job of, is really honing in and being good on what we're doing for that day and that moment, not making sure that they understand. I mean, I could yell at them and I could rip them for a lot of things, but at the same time, they're also learning. There's a huge learning curve. They're all learning something, and I have to make sure that they truly understand. And I believe if they start to understand why they're doing it, they're going to buy in and believe it even more.
Right. And on that learning curve front, we're talking about high energy, right, on the play. How do you kind of temper maybe some of the frustration and kind of calm those nerves a little bit? And more so, I saw a couple times you just have a face-to-face conversation. How do you kind of strike that balance, I guess, now between either getting on somebody, but also kind of having that face-to-face and taking that step?
I think part of it is learning my players. Obviously there are going to be moments where I'm probably going to lose my mind a little bit, but in a way that they're also young women, and they want to be talked to and respected. And I respect the fact that they are learning and they are trying to do the right things. They're not trying to mess up. And so being able to have those face-to-face, one-on-one conversations and talk them through some things, I think that they respect and they respond better in certain situations. And so so just making sure that understanding from player to player, the moment to moment, what depending upon the drill and what we're doing, whether it's something we've done 10 times or it's something we're doing new, but helping them understand, hey, this is what we should have done. Do you see it? See it and fix it. Stopping them, putting them back in that moment so they can see the whole floor, or pulling them aside and help. And, maybe it's a confidence thing. Maybe I'm like, hey, did you see what you had there? And talking them through some things so they see their options, and then they've got to go out there and fix it, and not lose sight of who they are. They still have to be them, and they have to be the very best of them. And it's my job to make sure that I bring that out.
And as we were touching on, you already have a win in Bud Walton Arena, as is. What do you remember about that game last year? And also, what's your excitement level to now be on the other side of that, holding the clipboard, representing the Razorbacks in Bud Walton?
I mean, blessing. I mean, to be able to represent the Razorbacks, hold the clipboard in Bud Walton on the other side of that bench is a huge opportunity and a blessing. And what I remember the most is the fact that, it doesn't matter who we played on that moment. As when we walked in here as the Golden Eagles, we were ready for 40 minutes. And, my players believed, they stuck to the game plan, and they were able to execute. And I think that once we got going, it just really, the confidence just ended up being full steam ahead at that point, especially in that third quarter. We really were able to kind of go full steam ahead. So just being able to help this team and these players in this moment. Like I told them, they get to write the story. At the end of the day, it's a new season, it's a new opportunity. This was day one, but we got to stack days, and they get the opportunity to write a new story as Razorbacks.
I know player development is important for you. What have you seen from Jada Bates? She was a freshman last year, now as a sophomore.
She's made some huge gains in the weight room, but I think her understanding, she wasn't as vocal last year as my understanding, and she's starting to be more vocal. She's taken some ownership, and, I pulled her aside today, and I was like, Jada, you can go score, go be aggressive. And all of a sudden, you notice she flipped that switch, and she was able to get to the rim, and she was able to do things. But again, it's reading my team, getting to know each and every individual player, and getting the most out of each of them in order for our team to be the most successful that we have the opportunity to be.
Yeah, and Harmony, she stood out to me. Just what does she bring to the table as a freshman that stands out to you?
I think that the one thing is I think Jenna might have mentioned it, that some of our freshmen don't act like freshmen, and they've got to have that mentality. A freshman, a senior, it doesn't matter. The 5 that need to be out there are going to be out there, and the fact that she's aggressive and she's tenacious and she wants to be out there, and she's real gritty, and she's going to battle every day, and I love that about her.
Obviously, we know the state of the program that you kind of inherited. Obviously, a lot depart from the portal. You bring in some from the portal. What are realistic expectations, I guess, in year one going into this first season here?
I think the biggest thing is the foundation, the type of play and the type of style, not just the offense, but how we're going to play for 40 minutes. We have to have motors, and we got to be playing on both sides of the basketball. As much as I talk about a high-octane offense, we have to be gritty, we have to be feisty, and we've got to battle. And so I think the energy, the effort, the passion, and our culture and our foundation is definitely what has to be on display this first year for people to get excited and buy back in.
And kind of on a housekeeping note, I guess, obviously the ACC-SEC Challenge, the tip time and TV and all that just got announced. I guess kind of what's your excitement to participate in the ACC-SEC Challenge, and then also just be able to take on that SMU team?
I mean, what an opportunity. I love challenges, and the fact that, we get to compete with another conference and everyone in the league has that opportunity. I think it's a battle, and I think it's something that my players won't take lightly, and it'll be something that, we have a little time to prepare for, but it's going to be a huge challenge. And, SMU has a new staff as well, and I think it's a great time to be able to see a little bit of new versus new.
How has Wyvette's maturity, I mean, this is her 6th year, helped with, kind of taking over a new team?
I think it's been phenomenal, and it's been great. I mean, obviously, she was coming back off of an injury initially, but just to see the maturity that she has, her IQ, her knowledge, and the fact that she really does do a good job of talking to her teammates and making sure that she's being a floor general, she's been a huge asset for us.
I guess you talk a lot about how fast you want to play on offense and everything. You think your Oral Roberts teams are always like top 5 in pace, but I guess how do you kind of go about balancing wanting to play fast and get down the floor quickly with I guess the situational stuff of when it's time to maybe slow things down at times.
And I think initially we have to get them to play at that pace, and then we can always reel them back in. So you kind of got to let them be wild and free to a certain extent initially, so that they understand the pace, they understand the speed, and then we can always reel them back in as we get to the situational part, which will be a couple of weeks down the road before we start getting to some of those situational moments, especially for such a new and a young team. But I think just going full steam ahead, they've got to be able to also play through some of those mistakes. When we're in transition and we make a mistake or we make a bad pass, it's better to do it now in practice and learn from it and fix it than to do it 3 months from now. So I really got to push that pace, and we got to stay on that pedal right now so we can get better and learn and play through some mistakes.
Right, and I think I heard you mention in one huddle that you're not going to score 90 points if you're not being able to play in transition, play with pace and things of that sort. Is that sort of a benchmark that you're trying to set? Let's score 90 points a game?
Absolutely. I mean, if we want to get back into the top, be top 10 in the nation in scoring, then we've got to be full steam ahead. So forcing that issue, I think, 80, 85 points to 90 points. I mean, who doesn't want to watch that and who doesn't want to play that style of basketball? But I think it also allows us to do something different and really try to elevate our game.